theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Rong reviews it all on Joy Drive.
Good afternoon, Suzy Rong.
Hi, Warren. Now, before we start, I just want to add to your previous announcement about the show Overflow at the Arts Centre, Melbourne. Mm-hmm. It's presented by Darlinghurst Theatre Company in Sydney, and a lot of my mates are working on that show, including the star Janet Anderson and the director Dino Dimitriadis. So I'll recommend our Melbourne viewers listeners to definitely go and check it out at Arts Centre Melbourne. I think this week it opens.
Yeah, definitely. Really looking forward to it. We did a chat with Dino this week, which you can catch the podcast at joy.org.au/Joy Drive. And it sounds really exciting.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, the problem is the toilet apparently is overflowing while they're trapped.
It does literally overflow, so that is something that's a bit of a spectacle to catch as well.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Really looking forward to it. Back
to today's show.
Yes.
I've got a question for you. Do you have close male friends who are not in the queer community?
Do I have? I did have. I've kind of lost track with. Oh, no, I do have. Yes, I do have close male friends that aren't in the queer community. Yes, I do. Yes. They all came to mind.
Oh, that's good. I wonder if that is a rare or common occurrence within our community.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I feel like those that I have some really close relationships with straight male friends, and we talk about all sorts of things. Like there's nothing we won't talk about. All sorts of things. I get all the details of what's going on with his girlfriend, etc. He gets all the details of what's going on with all mine. I mean, it's great, really great conversations, I must admit, and really safe and a real loving friendship.
Oh, that's good. I think for many years, all my friends were queer until when I became sort of older, and then I found myself sort of forming really good relationships with middle-aged women with no kids.
Oh, really? Middle-aged women with no kids? That was...
we kind of bond over that.
I found it... I don't know. To be honest with you, I actually found it difficult to make friends with other gay men. I really struggled. I don't know. I wasn't. I was a bit overweight. I think I was kind of in some ways. I don't know. I just was really self-conscious of what my appearance, etc. And I struggled to make friends with gay guys. I really did. And when I got them, I hung on to those friendships, and they were really good friendships. But I felt like with straight males, I could easily form a friendship, but with gay males, I felt like I had another level of, you're going to hurt me, a bit of distrust and a bit of a hurdle that I needed to get through first before I would, we'll go to the friendship thing. And the other thing is, I also thought you don't necessarily have to sleep with other gay males to become friends with them in the first place.
Yeah, it sounds like you've had some bad experiences, but it's good that you're part of the Joy family, because obviously you have a lot of community around here.
Yeah, I mean now it's different. I think that was more coming out in my 20s, etc. I mean, it was a different environment then as well. But I just like good friendships. I don't care who it is. I don't care.
Speaking of good friendships,
yeah, big boys.
Today's program is Big Boys. It was the first day of uni when Jack and Danny found out that they would be living on campus together. Jack is gay, but has yet to come out to anyone. Danny is a classic lad, very cheeky and a little bit obnoxious. The English comedy series Big Boys has finally arrived in Australia via Paramount Plus, just in time for the second season being dropped in the UK. This simple premise sounds like it could make for a funny, if overly conventional show, but Big Boys offers a surprising roller coaster ride of emotions. It is hilarious one minute and heartbreaking the next. There are very witty jokes and more than a few filthy ones, but for every bit of comedy, we are given unbelievable poignancy as balance. I found a lot of it extremely moving. These young men might be silly on the surface and very inexperienced at life, but they both have very heavy things to deal with, as is the case with all of our realities. There are themes of grief that underscore every episode, yet its humor is never encumbered by its serious topics. I laughed a lot. and cried a fair amount as I watched Jack and Danny become the closest of friends as they navigate their lives as new adults together. The two are not the only lovable characters in Big Boys. Every person we meet is idiosyncratic and adorable. It is so easy to fall in love with this show. There is so much vulnerability expressed in wonderfully comical and deeply moving ways. I guess laughing through all the tears is still the best we can do for so many of life's worst bits. For queer viewers, I'm glad to report that Jack's gayness in Big Boys is portrayed consistently in an uplifting manner, very positive and optimistic, never a source of shame, pain, or tragedy. Danny's allyship is beautiful to witness and a great representation of these changing times. Warren, I hope you managed to catch a good number of episodes because it does get better and better.
I watched
Are
them
the
all.
cockles of your heart all warm and fuzzy?
Oh, so warm and fun. I was going to say warm and funny. Warm and fuzzy. I loved it. I watched them all.
You caught all of them.
I watched them all, Suzy. I want the elephant stamp from Suzy Wrong. I loved it. I watched them all. I finished the last 2 episodes last night. What a great little show! You're right. I mean, I was laughing my head off. Some of the comedy is just so funny, and then you're right. You're crying. You got tears in your eyes. You're thinking, "Oh my goodness, this is such an emotional." Emotional thing that's happening at the moment, and in some ways it transports you back to your days if you went to uni. It certainly did for me, going back to uni and forming those friendships. I mean, my closest friend, Deba, if you're listening, is from first year university, and we're still best friends. She's my best friend. She's like my sister, and that's a friendship that I formed at university.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's wonderful you can make that correlation with the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the show was great. I really enjoyed it. At first, I thought, am I going to be a bit out of touch watching it? But it was nice to see that, the university experience is still largely the same, isn't it? And it doesn't matter where it is around the world. It's still largely the same. And it's a great...
I was very, very moved by the depiction of the straight boy. I thought, they started him off as being quite predictable and conventional, just loud and brash and a really naughty boy. And then very quickly, just, in the first episode, you find that he has mental health issues, and just made him so human and so understandable, and then because you understand that vulnerability that he experiences, that he tries to cover up by this laddish behavior, you understand that vulnerability connecting with Jack, the gay boy's vulnerability in sort of being a young gay man trying to come out. I think it's so beautifully plotted. It's so well written. We didn't have to wait for a long time before we got attached to these characters. I found by the end of the first episodes, I was completely invested.
Oh, I agree, 100%. And I mean, isn't university great? It's a great melting pot. Everyone comes together. It doesn't matter what your background is, what your education was, that you all come together in this one institution, and that's one of the things that I loved about university. But if we talk about Jack and Danny, and particularly if we look at it and say, okay, people who come from a lower socioeconomic background or from poverty, you can see the other impediments and the barriers they have to getting a good education. And as you said, that came out through Jack's acting up, but also the fact that he didn't have a stable background to necessarily go to. And I found that quite sad, that it's almost like he was stuck in that cycle of constantly going around in circles between what was his dad and not being loved as a kid, and then trying to do well at university and not being able to.
Yeah, the story of the poverty cycle is not a main part of the show, but it is an important part because there was a joke about them going to a university was the second last in the country or something, it wasn't a great university. But and then we see him kind of really struggling, which is the real thing. I struggled for a while because I had to move countries and I was distracted and kind of for the first time had to learn to be an adult on my own.
Did you go to university
that's a difficult
here?
time because there's Yeah. I came here for university in 96.
Right.
And obviously first time living away from home, and, in Singapore, home is very, it was a very sheltered life in Singapore, and, like many of us have maids and everything. So just the idea of cooking for yourself and cleaning your own laundry was a major challenge. So you can't imagine all the other things that kind of made things difficult for me here. So the very idea of doing well at university was impossible. It took me a long time to settle in and finally kind of really get into the education of university life. So I could see that, and I could see that the show was really deep and meaningful. The way that he was struggling to be a good student, but we could see how it was important, because of the background that he had come from. Like his father is, has no ambition and hasn't done very well in life, and he was trying in a way to get out of that trap, and you see that he fails, and then how he had to be encouraged by his great friends to get back onto the university horse and give it another go. I thought that those really tender, sensitive things makes the silly jokes work somehow. I think if it's all silly jokes, it's if it's all silly jokes, you probably feel like it's wasting your time. So the balance of the two things make it very special, I thought.
Suzy, you were just saying how you had to come and you had to learn how to do your own laundry. I have to say, the scene in the show that involves sheets and laundry was one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in my life on TV. We won't spoil it. You have to watch it to see it, but so funny, and so and this is what I loved about the series. They didn't hide it. They didn't, it wasn't left to the imagination to see what was going on. You saw it right there in front of you, and I was laughing my head off at that. I just thought that was amazing.
You'd think that those kind of quite crude things wouldn't work. Like if you're saying that, and I saw them do that, and I saw them do this, it sounds like, that is so stupid. I like the one where he thought someone had offered him a bottle of poppers, and he went and drank it. I thought it was so funny. Like, as an idea, it's like, so juvenile, but the way they presented it was just really, really hilarious. I had so many laughs with this show, and I was, sometimes I set these homework things, and I thought, I don't know if I can make 12 episodes during the week, but this was really easy to do all 12 episodes.
And, I mean, who hasn't burnt their nose on poppers when it's stripped out? Suzy, are you there? Have we lost you, Suzy?
I'm barely there. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. The other thing is, I think about my university days, and I was studying engineering at Monash University, and I was had about 400 students. There were probably 10 girls, and I was friends with all of them. The first day I went there, I was friends with all of them. And there was one guy who was from Malaysia, and he was the campus guy ever. And we became really, really good friends at university as well. And we went to the Monash Gay Society, which was there at the time. And I tell you what, one thing that is different now from seeing a university in the 2010s compared to when I was there was, in engineering, we were pretty much shunned being gay. Like, it wasn't, it was still that environment where you weren't necessarily embraced and welcomed, but at least in this show you can see that it's moved on and everyone just didn't care. It's not an issue whatsoever, whatever your sexuality is. It just didn't matter, and that was really nice to see.
Yeah, the way that they are so welcoming and inclusive of one another. And I think a big part of the show, I don't think it was decided from the start. It felt like it happened later when they kind of realized that a big part of the show was the chosen family idea that, is this terminology that has become very popular in recent years. And I think the show really represented that so well. Not just Jack and Danny, the two boys, but they had an additional couple couple of characters who are also very great characters, and how they were able to be so at ease with each other, being quite completely different people. I thought that was so well presented, so well performed, and really, really nice to see.
A friend of mine, Paul, just texted me, just for who I met at university as well, said, "Oh my God, I know who you're talking about." See, Suzy, it's a small world, isn't it? I love the show. I would encourage anyone to see it. It is called Big Boys. It's on Paramount Plus, and great show. Really well done. As you said, you'll be laughing, you'll be crying. Some of the jokes are hilarious. Nothing is hidden from you, and the friendships are just beautiful that are formed. And I've got to say, Suzy, I love the mother. What a great woman.
Oh, the mother and the other lady, is it the cousin? I never really understood who she was.
The niece,
yeah,
sorry.
the cousin. Really, really funny.
Yeah, really, and the grandmother as well. You can just see the disgust in the grandmother's face. Really well cast, well worth having a look at.
All of this really sort of English eccentrics, right? That we don't kind of see in Australian comedy, unfortunately. The way they're able to portray their kind of regular people, but in really colourful ways and in really unpredictable ways. So nuanced and so funny. I recommend this series unreservedly.
Big Boys, it is Suzy Wrong. What are we watching next week?
The Oscar race is officially on, but not many queer films received significant nominations as predicted. Only Maestro on Netflix garnered real attention. So let's take a look at that biopic Maestro about Leonard Bernstein when I see you next Tuesday.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. See you, Suzy Wrong.
Joy Drive.